Chapter 16. The sedan rocked as Ashley tire hit a rut on a gravel lane leading into the trailer park that was once her home. Her stomach tightened as she remembered the night that she packed her things and fled, thinking she would never return. Not much had changed since then. Although the occupants were likely different, the trailer seemed the same, weather worn and tired, yards littered with children toys and rusty outdoor furniture. Dodging potholes, she rounded the curve and drove past the rental office towards the rear of the park, to the trailer at the dead end, the home she shared with Ethan. As she pulled along the side of the lane to park, she noticed that their old place hadn't fared as well as the other trailers. The roof sagged and the wooden front stoop appeared ready to collapse. She wondered about the people living there now and hoped their lives were happier than hers had been. But she didn't come to inspect her old home. She'd driven here to see Jess. She heard from one of her cousins that Ethan's old drinking buddy and his girlfriend Luann still lived in the park after all these years. Ashley could recall many nights when Ethan had stumbled through their bedroom door so drunk he could hardly stand, after hitting the local bar with their neighbor. In a normal relationship, most wives would resent a man for keeping their husband out until the wee hours, but looking back, Ashley realized she had actually been grateful for Jesse. While they were out, she was allowed several hours of quiet peace, and when Ethan did manage to come home, he'd be too far gone to perform sexually, passing out almost as soon as his head touched the pillow. Ashley had been friendly with Luann and had considered her to be a kind-hearted person, but the two women had never had the opportunity to become close. Ethan had made sure of that. He invented a slew of daily chores that kept Ashley far too busy for a social life. A green pickup truck and a white coupe sat next to the couple's trailer, signaling they were likely both at home, just like they were the night the sheriff's deputy had driven Ashley back to her trailer to collect her things. Jesse and Luann had watched in silence from their front porch. Fighting to push aside the images of her last night here, Ashley took a deep breath and counted to 10. Her memories cut deep, but to have any hope of winning Ethan's game, she would have to face certain parts of her past. She climbed the porch steps and knocked on Jesse's door. Music mixed with explosions and gunfire leaked from the trailer's wall. She wasn't sure whether the sound emanated from a television show or a video game. After a few seconds, the door cracked open and Luann's head popped out. Surprise flashed in her eyes. "Ashley, is that you?" she said, stepping onto the porch. "I ain't seen you in ages." Her old neighbor seemed stuck in time. The 30-something woman's straight red hair still flowed to her narrow waist as it had all those years before, and her makeup-free skin appeared creamy and smooth. Coconut oil, Ashley remembered. Luann had swore it was an anti-aging miracle, and evidently she'd been right. "How have you been, Luann?" "Been doing fine, still working at the diner," she said, studying Ashley's face. "Damn, girl, you sure do look different. I can tell by your eyes you ain't that same meek little thing who hightailed it out of here with the deputies that night." Ashley assumed the comment was intended to be a compliment. "Yeah, that was a long time ago," she said. "What brings you to these parts? Heard you was a city girl now." "I'm trying to find Ethan." Luann wrinkled her nose. "He ain't been here," she said, her eyes letting Ashley know it was the truth. Her old neighbor had never liked Ethan, even before she learned of his abusive ways. It was as if she sensed the evil in him and knew to stay away. Although Jesse traveled on the wrong side of the law, he always seemed to treat Luann well, with respect. "I was hoping I could talk to Jesse and find out if he's heard anything." Just because her ex-husband hadn't shown up on their doorstep didn't mean he wasn't in contact with his old buddy. Luann's glanced back over her shoulder at the open door. He's playing COD. COD? Call of Duty. She smiled. Been trying to level up all day. Neither Ashley nor Brett played video games, but she knew some people reveled in them, spending all their free time in a virtual reality world. Is he still in the delivery business? She asked her old neighbor. The delivery business was code for how Jesse made his money. A couple of times a week, he traveled to Chattanooga with an order to steal a certain type of car. Then he delivered the car to a chop shop near the county line. Luann laughed. Afraid so. He'd go straight if there was work, but ain't none around here, not that pays anything. Ashley nodded. Would you please ask him if he'll talk to me for a minute? I'll make it worth his time. A light came on in Luann's eyes when she realized Ashley was willing to pay for the information. I guess I could. She disappeared inside the trailer, pushing the door closed behind her. Ashley couldn't hear their voices, but after a few minutes, the rumbling from the video game stopped. Jesse ambled out onto the porch. Time had not been as kind to him as it had been to Luann. His brown hair had thinned on top, and he gained a few pounds in his midsection. You looking for Ethan? He asked. She nodded. I was hoping that maybe you would know where he's at. He looked at Ashley, his eyes squinted as a half smile crossed his face. I might, he said, but I might not. She couldn't tell from his expression whether he had any actual information, but she had no other leads, no one else she felt safe contacting. I'll give you $100 if you'll tell me what you know. It was all the cash Ashley had left on her. He stepped towards her. What's to stop me from just taking it? He asked, a wicked glint in his eyes. She reached for the pistol at her waist, lifted her shirt just enough so he could see the weapon nestled in the new holster she just purchased. Whoa, hold up there, girl, he said, stepping back, his palms raised towards her. I was just playing. From what she remembered of Jesse, she doubted he would have actually tried to rob her, but he most likely thought the threat would be enough to net him the cash. The fact that he tried the tactic made her suspect that he had no idea of Ethan's whereabouts, no information to trade. Can you help me or not? She asked. He rubbed his chin. I don't rightly know where he is now, but I seen him. A seed of hope sprang up in her chest. When and where? Last night, about 9 or so, on Fenton Hill Road near Daddy's place. He must have gone to her father's house. House after leaving the bear on her patio. Finding out she wasn't at home, he may have thought she was in Metler Ridge. Are you sure it was Ethan and not someone else? Yep, it was him. I didn't know he'd broke out yet when I seen him. He was crossing the road and my truck lights hit him. Looked straight at me, then ran off into the woods. Do you have any idea where he could be hiding out? He shook his head. Nah, maybe with some of his kin. Ashley knew that the police would have checked Ethan's relatives' home first. One or more of them were probably helping him, but he was too smart to hide on any of their properties. They were a tight-knit group. She knew they wouldn't give her any information, and seeking them out could even be dangerous. She pulled a $100 bill and a slip of paper from her pocket. I've written down my phone number. If you hear anything or see Ethan again, call me and I'll make it worth your while. Taking one last glance at the decrepit mobile home that still tortured her dreams, Ashley climbed back into her car. As she circled the dead end of the lane, her cell phone rang. She checked the screen. No caller ID. Whoever was calling her had blocked their number. She stared at the phone, wondering if she should answer. It was probably just a telemarketer. Hello? At first, she thought there was no one on the other end. She was about to hang up when a voice broke the silence, chilling her to the bone. See you soon, the caller said, and then disconnected. It was a voice she knew well, Ethan. Ashley scanned the trailer park, her pulse racing. Did her ex-husband know she was in Metler Ridge? She had to make sure she wasn't being followed, and she had to get back to the lake house fast. Whew, see you in the next chapter.